Oh, very well. Thank you. And good evening, folks. Welcome to the December 7th, 2020 Frankfort Village Board meeting. My name is Jim Holland, and I am the village president, a title that's better known as mayor. In accordance with Public Act 101-0640, 5 ILCS 120/7E, this meeting will be held both remotely and in person based on the gubernatorial disaster declaration and the president of the Village of Frankfort determining that a full in-person meeting is not practical or prudent. Members of the public will be able to attend the meetings in person, but the village will enforce the capacity restrictions that are in effect due to the applicable gubernatorial executive order. The general public will be able to view and participate in the meeting remotely as well. As we have in the past, we are following the governor's executive order, which restricts gatherings inside to no more than 10 people. This effectively means that we need to hold this meeting remotely. You can find instructions for how to join us and how to make public comments on the homepage of our website at frankfortil.org, or you can find the information posted on the front door of the village administration building, where it has been posted since Friday. Public comments for this meeting that were received in advance will be read. Zoom participants who want to speak will need to push the button that says raise hand, and we will then recognize them. Phone participants can speak by pressing *9 on their phone. Anyone at the village boardroom can just raise his or her hand, and Rob, our village administrator, will recognize that person. So at this time, we call this meeting to order, and we ask our clerk, Brian Feary, to take the roll, please.
Sure, Mr. Mayor. Mayor Holland.
Here.
Trustee Ogle.
Here.
Trustee Clavio.
Here.
Trustee Severia.
Here.
Trustee Petro.
Here.
Trustee Farina.
Here.
Trustee Borelli.
Here.
Attorney Mahoney is here.
Here.
Attorney Lamore is here.
Present.
Chief Barica.
Present.
Administrator Pisha and Administrator
Present.
Cook. Okay.
Here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item on our agenda is what we call the unanimous consent agenda. All items on the unanimous consent agenda are considered routine in nature and will be voted on after a single motion. If any of the trustees wants to discuss any of the items in more detail, then we'll just remove that item from the consent agenda. So I first ask, do any trustees want to remove any items from the consent agenda? Not hearing any, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Trustee Ogle has made the motion and Trustee Petro has provided a second. We do want the people in the audience, if there are any in the boardroom, and on the audience on Zoom, and the audience at home, if they watch this meeting at a later date, to know something about the items that we're passing tonight, or, well, I hope we pass them. We will just briefly mention each one. The first item is the approval of the minutes from our special meeting that was held on November 23rd. And the second item is the approval of the bills. And we'll go to Trustee Severia, who is the chairperson of our Finance Committee, for a report on those.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bills tonight are pretty routine in nature and total $824,284.42. The general corporate fund was $412,221.09. Motor fuel tax fund was $8,153.57. Capital development fund was $80,932.45. Sewer water operation maintenance, $109,000. $978.49. Sewer and Water Extension Fund, $185,524. Waste and Water Treatment Plant was $27,440 or $474.82. I did notice there was an expenditure to Alsip Nursery for Christmas lights for $296.95, which I'm sure went towards the lighting of the green. And that completes our bills tonight.
Well, thank you, Gene. And then we have an item from our Historic Preservation Commission, and we have a liaison to that organization, and that's Trustee Petro. And it's a very interesting item indeed. So Trustee Petro, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. It is interesting and it's the first of its kind. So this is in regards to the Historic Landmark Nomination Ordinance, St. Peter's United Church of Christ at 12 West Sauk Trail. Frankfort's Historic Preservation Commission, also known as the HPC, recommended establishing the first local landmark in the village of Frankfort. The preservation effort was initiated by the HPC Chair, Marcia Stewart, who submitted an application nominating St. Peter's United Church of Christ for designation as a landmark under the Historic Preservation Ordinance of the Village of Frankfort. The Historic Preservation Commission is charged with considering the application against the criteria established by the ordinance for landmark designation. At its November 12, 2020 public hearing on the nomination, the Historic Preservation Commission determined that St. Peter's met the requisite criteria necessary for designation as a landmark and forwarded a unanimous 4-0 recommendation to the village board to designate St. Peter's United Church of Christ as a landmark. The motion is to accept the Historic Preservation Commission recommendation, waive the first and second readings, and pass an ordinance designating St. Peter's United Church of Christ located at 12 West Sauk Trail as a landmark under the provisions of the Historic Preservation Ordinance of the Village of Frankfort.
Thank you, Jessica. And then we have two items from our Financial Affairs Committee, and we'll go back to Trustee Severia for a report on those.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you said, we have two items. The first one is the tax levy ordinance. At its November 10th, 2020 meeting, the Financial Affairs Committee discussed the proposed 2020 tax levy for the Village of Frankfort. Finance Director Jenny Booth reported the preliminary equalized assessed valuation figures from the Will County assessors showed an overall increase of approximately 3.44%. The following discussion, it was consensus that the committee to forward a recommendation to the village board to request the 2020 tax levy in the amount of $3,280,161. Based on the preliminary estimates and the property tax extension limitation law, the estimated limiting rate is calculated at 0.3385, and the amount requested will most likely be reduced by approximately $32,614 to $3,247,547. The village rate for 2019 was 0.3384. If the estimated tax of 0.3385 is correct, then the village would consider reducing the rate to 0.3383, which would be 0.0001 less than the prior year. The county will determine the annual rate, final EAV, the levy amount requested, and the limiting rate calculation. The motion is to accept the recommendation of the Financial Affairs, waive the first and second reading, and pass an ordinance providing the annual levy of taxes in the amount of $3,280,161 for the fiscal year beginning on May 1st, 2020 and ending on April 30th, 2021. And then the second item is a direction to Will County Clerk to possible tax cap levy reduction resolution. A tax cap levy resolution is presented also, which provides for any possible tax levy reductions to be made in the corporate and police protection funds, subject to additional review by the village. It was the consensus of the committee to forward the recommendation to the village board to adopt a resolution regarding directions to Will County Clerk in possible tax cap levy reduction for the Village of Frankfort. The motion is to accept the recommendation of the Financial Affairs Committee and adopt a resolution directing the Will County Clerk on possible tax levy reductions for the 2020 tax levy. Those are the
Thank
two
you,
items,
Gene.
Mayor.
Thank you. And for the public's benefit, this is the tax that appears on your property tax bill in the spring or the summer when you actually see the bill. And for the 22 years that I've been on this board, the board has set the tax amount, the so-called levy, so that we believe that the actual rate will go down. And we've done that again this year. That means that if the value of your property stayed the same or went down, that the tax would actually go down slightly. There are issues with that because we're only 4% of the tax bill. That's one issue. And the other issue is that property values tend to go up. And so we do all see a slight increase in our property tax. But over the 22 years that I've been on this board, I've tried to calculate it before. If we had taken the so-called maximum extension, where would we be now? And some have estimated that we would have taken in almost twice as much money now as we do in fact take in. So the tax would be twice as high. So I think this board, your elected officials, have done at least their small part to try to help control property taxes. And then we do have one item from our operations committee, and we'll go to the chair of the operations committee, Trustee Borelli, for a report on that item.
Thank you, Mayor. At our September 9th Operations Committee meeting, members reviewed a master pole attachment agreement between the Village of Frankfort and New Singular Wireless PCS LLC, which is otherwise known as AT&T. The agreement arises from Village Ordinance number 3174, which regulates the installation of small wireless facilities within Frankfort. Village Ordinance requires any wireless provider seeking to co-locate small wireless facilities on village-owned poles to execute a master pole attachment agreement setting forth, among other things, the terms of permit issuance, facility operation standards, application fees, and annual recurring fees due the village. The agreement was reviewed by Village Legal Counsel, who found it to comply with the State of Illinois Small Wireless Facilities Deployment Act and inclusive of terms favorable to the village. It was the consensus of the committee to forward a recommendation to the village board to authorize the execution of the master pole attachment agreement subject to final legal review. The motion before us tonight is to accept the recommendation of the operations committee and adopt a resolution authorizing the execution of a master pole attachment agreement between the Village of Frankfort and New Singular Wireless PCS LLS. That concludes my report.
Thanks, Adam. And those are all of the items on the consent agenda this evening. So before we vote on them, were there any comments that came in writing, Rob? And for those of you in the audience, does anyone want to make a comment to the board that concerns any of these particular items?
Mr. Mayor, there was no public comments received in writing prior to the meeting, and looks like we do have somebody that would like to speak from St. Peter's Church, so we will allow.
I think that's excellent, and I think you said that Marcia Stewart was also available, and Marcia is the chairperson of our Historic Preservation Commission. So we'll certainly hear from the person from St. Peter's. Hopefully, they really are from St. Peter's.
Yes. Okay, they just have to unmute themselves.
There we go.
There we go.
Am I set?
You're there.
All right. My name is Mark Milligan, and I have had the privilege of being the pastor and teacher of St. Peter's United Church of Christ for the last 6 years. For 153 years, 105 of which have been in our present building that you're discussing today, St. Peter's Church has worked diligently and faithfully to be a beacon of hope and comfort to the people of Frankfort. Together, we've gone through World War I, the Spanish flu pandemic, the Depression, World War II, the Civil Rights struggle, 9/11, and now the COVID-19 pandemic. We have worked very hard to be a positive presence in the life of not just our members, but to reach out to all the community of Frankfort. We've opened our doors to help to serve our greater community in a variety of different ways, offering spaces for community meetings and political forums where people could come and meet the candidates before elections. We provided rooms for the local school district when there was an emergency that came about years ago. We have space for the Frankfort Brass Band for them to rehearse and to perform. We've opened our doors to host and support the Suburban Youth Symphony Orchestra, and a number of our members in the past and present have served as community and civic leaders on the Frankfort board. We are grateful for the honor and privilege of being the first location in Frankfort to be designated a local historical landmark. We look forward to many more years of serving God and the people of Frankfort as we move into a future of hope and promise. Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you, Reverend Milligan. And just the stained glass windows in that church are something special. And seeing the words in German, something of our heritage in Frankfort. Certainly the carved wood altar piece in that church is something that's, again, unique or quite unusual. And the architecture of the exterior of the building. All of those make this building and this structure certainly worthy of preservation.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Well, then we thank the Historic Preservation Commission. Trustees,
Mayor.
any comments from you?
Mr.
Jessica.
Mayor, if I could, I know we have Marcia on the line and I commented on the public meeting for the Historic Preservation Committee, but I did just want to call out really the yeoman amount of work that the Historic Preservation Committee put into getting to this point of having an approval right in front of us today for the first time of a landmark. It went back to designing the preservation, going through the landmark status, designing the criteria, public commentary. And so I just think it's a shining example of the historic preservation work that they've done and coming to the point tonight.
Thank you, Jessica. Good points. Trustee Farina.
Thank you, Mayor Helen. I appreciate it. Congratulations to Marcia Stewart, and I also want to acknowledge the other committee members, Stephanie, Chester, and Don. It was a long process. That's part of government, but I think something thorough and well thought out makes a better policy effort and so forth. So congratulations to Marcia. Also, I have to congratulate Trustee Petro. She has also been diligent about supporting our Historic Preservation Commission. This is something that has been passionate, and also she helped it come to fruition. So I think this is great for Frankfort. It's great for our history and preservation, and I'm very excited to have this move forward tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. Anyone else? Then we do have a motion and a second, and we'll go to our clerk, Brian Feary, for the vote.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Trustee Severia,
Yes.
Trustee Borelli,
Yes.
Trustee Farina,
Yes.
Trustee Petro,
Yes.
Trustee Clavio,
Yes.
Trustee Ogle,
Yes.
motion carries.
Next item on our agenda this evening is what we call the mayor's report. The first item on the mayor's report is the virtual tree lighting ceremony. And what fun that was. We want to thank the Hickory Creek Middle School Choir, the Lincoln Way East Madrigals, the Frankfort Brass Band, and the Black Willow Brass Quintet for joining us virtually, all separate, all at different times, and put this program together and came out with actually kind of a nice show for people to take a look at, and some very nice music indeed. So thanks to everybody who made that work, and thanks to our staff for putting it all together. Letters to Santa Claus. Children are invited to send letters to Santa Claus, care of Mayor Holland, 432 West Nebraska Street. You can email them to me at jholland@frankfortil.org, or you can drop the letter in the mailbox that's right in the entrance to our administration building. And is it a fancy mailbox? You need to take a look at it sometime. I'll make sure that every letter gets to Santa and every child will receive a response. Please get the letters in by December 15 so we have time to write those responses. Thank you. Take a walk back in time. The Frankfort Area Historical Museum is hosting a house walk, window display, and self-guided walk in celebration of what would have been the 40th anniversary of the Frankfort Area Historic Society's house walk. The exhibit called Take a Walk Back in Time will be on display from December 1 to December 20. Pick up a brochure and map located in the media holder outside the entrance and walk through the Old Town to view from a distance the homes from the first house walk that was held in 1980. Ring in the holidays with Midnight Madness. That's on Friday, December 11th, this coming Friday. The Chamber of Commerce holds the 25th annual Midnight Madness event and in the downtown Frankfort, and it's also in the outlying shopping areas. It goes from 6 o'clock to midnight. Businesses will remain open for shoppers to take advantage of their hospitality and holiday gift giving specials. Please wear a mask and practice social distancing. And let's not crowd these stores. The Giving Tree Project, another interesting item that the Frankfort Chamber of Commerce is sponsoring. And it's designed to help support local nonprofit organizations and small businesses this holiday season. From December 5 through the end of December, gather the family to see Christmas trees decorated by area nonprofit organizations at 17 participating retail stores. Representatives from the nonprofit organizations will be collecting donations in front of their tree on December 11 during Midnight Madness. And donations can also be made at the Frankfort Chamber of Commerce website at frankfortchamber.com. And then Holiday Beautification Award nominations for those residents who have done something extra to make their homes look beautiful this particular season. Please let us know about them and nominate them for a Holiday Beautification Award. You can get the forms on the website, or you can just let us know an address that should be awarded one of these certificates. And we will acknowledge those people who go to that extra work to make their homes look great. And finally, I just want to, you can't help but say at this time that we are close to possibly coming to the end of this COVID-19 situation. We're certainly, a vaccine is on the horizon. And what we need to do is keep our separation from people, wear the masks, and wash your hands so that we don't have any more casualties in our community. Let's keep Frankfort safe during these holiday times. And with that, we'll go to our Police Chief, John Barica, for the Police Department report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to remind people that although it is a season for giving, we still do have many who are trying to take, and they do this through many ways, but one is email scams. So again, if you get an unsolicited email from your bank, utility company, or credit card company, make sure you do not reply to that and give them personal information. Rather, call the number on the back of your credit card or on your statement to see if it's really an email from the company. Most times it is not, but we're seeing those. Along with that, we are still seeing a tremendous amount of identity theft through the Illinois Department of Employment Security, IDES. And again, if you happen to get something in the mail saying that you've filed for unemployment when you're still working, make sure you call and file a report with us. You can do that online for a contact-free report. You can go right to the website, www.frankfortil.org. And if you go into the police department, on the left-hand side is file a report online. So an easy way to do that. Again, we continue to ask our residents to report suspicious activity, especially now. There's a lot of people having items delivered to their front porches. that sometimes are sitting there for a while. Luckily, with a lot of people being home, we're not seeing as much. But if you see suspicious activities, like somebody going around after the UPS truck or the Amazon truck, let us know, call us ahead of time. We prefer to be proactive on that. We have not had any issues yet, but we hope that we can count on our residents and friends out there to call us for anything. And then, of course, to wrap it up, just a reminder to lock your car doors, put your garages down, take your keys and key fobs inside, and help protect our whole village and keep us all safe. And that's all I have tonight.
Thanks, John. And now for the village administrator's report, we go to our village administrator, Rob Pisha.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want to remind residents, had a family that I'm aware of that had a close call with their carbon monoxide detector, found out that the battery wasn't working, actually had a carbon monoxide leak in their house, and they were able to catch it in time. Everybody's safe, but at this time, especially as the heat is on and everything, we just remind residents to please check your carbon monoxide detectors. Some of them may need to be replaced if you've had them for a while, but certainly check the batteries. And also just let everybody know, brush and leaf pickup has ended for the season. We have converted, we're converting our trucks for snow. So no more branch pickup, no more leaf pickup. So please do not put it at the curb. If you have any more leaves, you can put them in the brown bags and they can be collected, but you will need the yard waste stickers. And that's it, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Rob. And now for the village attorney's report, we go to either Hannah Lamore or George Mahoney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No report tonight.
Okay, thanks a lot, Hannah. And with that, we come to the part of our business we call other business. And this evening, we'll start with Clerk Feary.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, I wanted to just say congratulations to St. Peter's and Marcia Stewart. It was just incredible accomplishment getting that done. That historical. It's an amazing church. I've been there a couple of times. It's just wonderful. So that's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Brian. Trustee Petro.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted to thank the staff and all the participants for the virtual lighting. Again, we had to pivot during these interesting times as we're kind of wrapping up 2020. And also for the leaf and branch pickup, I have to say they did a great job this year with some weather changes and having to flex with different staff. And so I saw them out my window almost daily. So I just wanted to applaud all the work that went into that. And last and certainly not least, I know we've had a lot of different events that are still supporting our local businesses. So as we're, shopping for the holidays, just remember to shop local and continue to look for ways that we can support our community.
Thank you, Jess. Trustee Severia.
Yeah, just pivoting off of what Trustee Petro said. As you mentioned in the mayor's report, Friday is Midnight Madness from 6 to midnight. Get out and support your local businesses. Do it safely, wear a mask, but it's a great event and take advantage of it. That's all I have.
Thank you, Gene. Trustee Clavio.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple things. Number one is thank you to Marcia, Pastor Milligan. Also wanted to give a girl to Casey Sinovich, was on the committee for a long time. She moved out of town, so she had to resign, but she's probably one of our youngest committee members ever, which was kind of cool to see at the point. So thank you all for that. That's an exciting thing, and that's Frankfort history happening. I piggyback on what Trustee Savario and Petro said is that we had a very busy weekend 2 weeks ago. It was Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, Cyber Monday, Giving Tuesday. But note that does not stop. We've got many businesses that still need to make their budgets for COVID to make a good year for them. If you're not comfortable attending Midnight Madness, it's online as well. A lot of our businesses have media presence through Facebook. A lot of our businesses, just a reminder, will do private visits to the store. If you call them, you can arrange for that. And most of them will do curbside pickup as well if you pre-order for stuff like that, which is fantastic. So certainly shop local whenever you can, and that means through the holiday and through the new year at that point. And the last thing I would just piggyback on the remembrance of D-Day. Today is, it's funny when you end up and perhaps Council Mahoney and Council Lamore can piggyback on this. When you end up in front of a certain judge in Will County, you want to make sure it's not a historical day because you get trivia. And he doesn't really let you off the hook. You can't use your cell phone or anything. So you always want to kind of check your calendar before you go into court. And I was in court this morning, and fortunately I was prepared, but he didn't call on me, which is good. So, but today is the bombing of Pearl Harbor, and it's something we shouldn't forget, and we have a remembrance for those who served and lost their lives for us. It's interesting, if you actually go to the monument and the memorial, the oil is still dripping and rising to the surface at the memorial, and you can actually witness that, this many years later, almost a long time here. So it's kind of cool to see that. So in remembrance of all those who served and lost their lives in D-Day, thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, John. Trustee Ogle.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day. It's Kim and I went there with our family a few years back to the U.S. Arizona Memorial, and it is very, very sobering, very somber. There's a list of the names of the brave men and the women that were killed during that very, very cowardly act. And again, it was a day, as I said, that'll live in infamy. But it's also a reminder that was part of the greatest generation. The sacrifices and the individual stories of some of those soldiers, it's unbelievable. We don't have too many of them left anymore. That was 79 years ago. But it's important for us to remember that and to look to the bravery, the sacrifice, the self-sacrifice that they did. The one particular card that we got on the back of our ticket was a young man from Michigan, and he was in the turret, and he held the flashlight because once the light went out and the water came in, it was pitch black, and he had a flashlight so that the other sailors could get out of the ship and out of the turret, and ended up sacrificing his own life in order to save these others. So tremendous stories in there. St. Peter's Church, I'm very glad this is a unique structure. It's been a long process to craft an ordinance properly. I think that's always been very important. Our role as elected officials is to make sure that if we're putting laws in place, that they are correct and that they're good policy. And I think that through the process, and definitely Marcia Stewart and the other members of that committee have worked diligently with our staff as well to make sure that we did come up with something, that there are good guidelines for this, that protect historic buildings, that advance preservation, and very much that there's a basis around educating people on preservation and also enlisting cooperation. I think that's a better role of government. So I think on this one, I'm very happy that this designation went through, and I think that we got it right. It was a long process, and a lot of people went into it, but I think we got it right. And I also want to thank Kevin Del Grosso for the virtual tree lighting. He was out there in the cold with us, toughing it out, filming our little segments. I think it came off very nicely, considering what had to be done this year for COVID. And it was nice, and I enjoyed watching it, and my family enjoyed watching it. One last thing, Mayor, I think you did a great job explaining the tax levy and how that rate changes, and as we grow and the equalized assessed value changes, these are all dynamic things that move based on these things. I hope everyone stays healthy, and tonight give your wife and your kids, or I guess your husband in other cases, give them an extra hug. That's all I have tonight.
Thank you, Keith. Trustee Farina.
No comment this evening, Mayor Holland.
Thank you, Margaret. And Trustee Borelli.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I want to say congratulations to St. Peter's. What an accomplishment. Thank you to the staff, to Trustee Petro, to the Historic Preservation Commission, but specifically Marcia Stewart. I can't even imagine how many hours she put into crafting that language to get that in place. And so thank you so much for your time, Marcia. It's certainly appreciated. Make sure you get your letters to Santa. We want to stuff that inbox. We had our kids writing them before this meeting, so I know of at least 3 that'll be in there tomorrow morning. So hopefully everyone else can get theirs in there too. That's going to be really cool. Looking forward to the responses. And lastly, I just wanted to acknowledge the Frankfort Area Historic Society. I think that's such a cool idea to, obviously missing out on the 40th anniversary of the house walk. Just driving around and seeing those signs in front of the houses that were on the first one, which I wouldn't have guessed. So it's kind of just cool, and looking forward to taking advantage of that Take a Walk Back in Time exhibit here in the next week. So thank you to the Frankfort Area Historic Society. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Adam. And that brings us to the part of our meeting we call public comments. So first, Rob, are there any written public comments? And secondly, anyone in the audience, if you want to make a comment to the village board tonight, just raise your hand. And Rob, there you go.
There we go. No public comments received, Mr. Mayor, and Marcia Stewart would like to say something.
Excellent. Go ahead, Marcia.
I wanted to wait till it was all said and done. The Historic Preservation Commission would like to just thank the board for your support along the way, especially the administration, Jeff and Zach and Adam all the way. I want to call out Trustee Petro for providing awesome coaching and support all the way. I think this is a real important moment for the historic village of Frankfort to recognize the historic structures that tell our community's story. And I really hope this is just the beginning. So just thank you to everybody who helped in this.
Well done, Marcia, and thank you. And that, if there's nothing more, anyone else want to say anything? Not hearing anything else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Trustee Ogle and a second by Trustee Farina. And we'll go to our clerk, Brian Fury, for the vote.
Trustee Petro,
Yes.
Trustee Ogle,
Yes.
Trustee Farina,
Yes.
Trustee Clavio,
Yes.
Trustee Borelli,
Yes.
Trustee Severia.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Ladies and gentlemen, this meeting is adjourned. Thanks for your attention.
Night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.